happens already with other medicines that are controlled substances. I just wonder if that both helps us reach the patients who need them and provide a feasible revenue stream for these businesses to stay afloat.
Okay.
I'm counting on their physician to start the access, their relationship with their physician. So if that happens, then why should the place where they get what the physician is recommending be so difficult to access? That's my thinking.
Okay.
No, I understand that, but I think the friction might be, what is the physician going to recommend? Is it, because if it is medical marijuana, if it lacks specificity and I'm a new or naive user, what do I do?
Well, as a physician now, I can make the decision for home delivery for narcotics, right? I mean, there's delivery services, there's pharmacies that do that. Is there a mechanism where I, as a physician, can be the filter and say, okay, I've determined that this patient is homebound and perhaps would benefit from a home delivery service? Is that a potential opportunity?
Absolutely. Certainly something we can talk to the medical board about.
Okay.
One of the advantages of hospice is, in fact, home delivery of narcotics.
Yes.
So I think if you have a hospice patient and they're required to drive 2 counties away to get this, it could be a barrier.
The physician filter is, Erin's a lot smarter than I am, so she's probably thought of it, but I had not. That's something we can discuss.
Delivery is common in this space. There are many states who do this.
Okay. I think we've heard the case for delivery. We'll take another look and see what the rule can be done and if the statute has limitations on that. 6325, now we're into the advertising marketing space. Again, I think the intent of the rule is to make it clear this is a medical issue and it's not turning into something else. Yes, Marcy, go ahead.
Because this is one of my passionate things, and it's passionate not only for here, but it's passionate for all prescription drugs. I think it's been a disservice to our nation and to the health of our nation to have advertised medicines on the TV where people are self-directing themselves to whatever commercial captures them to say that I need to have this medication. And if I had one wish to help with the opiate problem, many problems, that we get rid of those altogether and we get back to Doritos or whoever else puts out good commercials. So I am very concerned about this and what the commercials look like. If it's to only provide information as to where a dispensary is and perhaps to give some reasons why you would choose a certified or a registered dispensary over your back alley Sam, because we know it's going to, it's got some testing behind it. We know that it's got safeguards and things in place. I understand that and believe that would probably be fine. But most advertising and PR is of the persuasive measure. And I would be very careful as what that persuasion is going to do. And I think that's a slippery slope for all of us. We have watched what it's done for us in America to have all of our prescription drugs advertised, because you cannot have anything, even this hay now, without wanting to drive to a pharmacy and get a pill. And I think that's not probably right. So I just bring up those concerns about it. We've taken away a lot of the advertising around tobacco because of those very issues. And so I will say nothing more than this is a concern for me.
Okay. Questions, comments? Yes.
So E3E, something that's perceived as an inducement to a qualifying patient. What does that mean to you? I mean, what are you envisioning there?
So something, they come into the dispensary and they are getting free products for walking into the dispensary and purchasing products from that dispensary, for instance.
Would this be talking about the prohibition of coupons in this space? We see it, no. Marcy, to your point, we see a lot of that work in the prescription drug business where here's a coupon and you can go get a fill for $5 at ABC Pharmacy. Would that be prohibited in this space or under review or restriction? What would it?
we're anticipating that there will be sales, there will be the opportunity, maybe in the veteran and indigent arena, coupons. I don't know, obviously that's still developing, we had a lot of conversation around that.
Okay, but not prohibited by the way the rule is written today?
No.
Okay, just for clarity.
Yeah, it just, to me, in reading it, the combined effect of it seems that it could be read to say that every advertisement to some way is an inducement to have somebody purchase my product rather than somebody else's. And it seems to me the way it's drafted here, that would, if it's perceived as an inducement, could create some exposure.
Certainly take another look at that, yeah.
Okay.
I would like to say on E, number 1, I really appreciate the reaching out to discourage any kind of misinterpretation by children.
Absolutely.
So I would like you to,
Okay.
I'm advocating to keep that
We'll
language.
keep that in, I think, is what we're hearing.
Please keep that language.
Okay. Other comments around marketing? Okay. We're into the last section, which is dispensary enforcement. And then 6402, where there's going to be compliance inspections carried out by the, I'm assuming, the Board of Pharmacy field staff, that will be their obligation to take care of that, and outlines how that will look. Questions about that? I think they're all used to doing that. 6403, where the discipline factor will come in around those folks that are being licensed by these rules or this legislation. Questions around discipline? Yes.
Can we get an idea of what demonstrates an absence of good moral character and habits?
Probably going to be, in certain circumstances, it would be a series of things that did not individually rise to the level of discipline, but in the aggregate, when you look at it, it's a repetitive, habitual problem that has manifested itself through the dispensary employees' actions.
Like?
Repeated errors, for instance, at a dispensary, or what would initially be perceived as just misstatements of fact when they're educating a patient. Maybe that turns into something different when they've made that misstatement to, 12 patients as opposed to 1, for instance.
I can speak in the diversionary area where we have surveillance processes in place and we find 5 missing doses one time, not too concerned. And it doesn't rise to the level by that quantity. But if I have 12 instances of 5 missing doses, even though any one of those may not be subject to board discipline, in aggregate, it's like that is now indicative to me that this person does not have the appropriate character to manage pharmacy inventory. Just something like that.
Absolutely, and I get it. I just think from a drafting perspective, if this is being used as that time a catch-all, it's just concerning when it could, at the dispensary level, I could lose my license for something that somebody on the board could consider that I've had poor morals or habits, that creates a lot of exposure. So that's why I bring it up. If that's meant to be the catch-all, it's a little bit concerning if I'm investing
I think
$2 million.
it makes an incumbent upon the Board of Pharmacy to act in our discipline hearings with the appropriate discernment around that, and we do. We do. Questions, other comments there? 6404, there's revocation and suspension language about when licenses can be pulled, as well as 6405, summary emergency suspensions, if you will, or summary suspensions. Questions there about when that might happen. 6407, failure to properly store or control your inventory. That's talking about their comments. How we get a license back to a dispensary if they should have it suspended or pulled. And then 6409, agencies all working together. I think that's inherent.
I had a question on 6408.
Yes.
Restoration of license from discipline. Is there any, are we going to attach any fees to that? You're going to have time invested in investigations, etc. How are you going to reinstate them? Is there a cost factor?
In many cases, there will be a settlement, and that settlement will include fees. It'll be done in a manner similar to what the Board of Pharmacy currently does. And yes, fees can be assessed, and that would be one of the conditions precedent if that was the case.
Okay, thank you.
And the last section on the variances, the fee structure you see there in front of you. Yes,
Fees?
yes, we're there.
I'm curious to how the $80,000 amount was determined and where it is in parallel to pharmacies.
So the $80,000 mark is what we came up with after looking at other states and knowing that we are trying to establish a sustainable program capable of enforcement of the rules that we're currently going through right now. $40,000 a year does fall within the spectrum of other states that have marijuana programs.
40,000?
A year. So this is a biennial license. $80,000 is a biennial license. Yes.
What is a pharmacy license?
Pharmacy license right now is under $1,000.
100,000?
1,000.
Pardon me?
Under $1,000 a year.
Under 1,000?
Other comments on fees, questions? All right, that wraps up our review. Thank you to the committee. That was a lot of, as James said, meaty rules to go through. It's been a lot of work there. Appreciate that. Before we roll into our next section, I'm just going to give us just about 2 or 3 minutes, just take a stand break, stretch our legs, just to take a break before we jump into that next. So we'll come back in about, we'll come back at 3 o'clock and get started again.
Great weekend. Try to decompress for the as much as you can. Just see if I can do one more. How are you guys? I'm just. No, actually, I wanted to say hi. How you doing? Yeah. The only weird thing is so that's still an adjustment. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to just kind of roll out of bed, get I'm sure. Yeah.
Not in a disparaging way. It's happened. But I mean, I said, oh, I get it.
Especially like, we didn't have a whole lot of Actually, I don't know. 2 minutes from where I was.